Hello YouTube friends, Dr. Teresa Ulrich here again, and thank you for joining me for the final installment of my 12-part series comparing dwarf seahorses with large seahorses. If you've missed the previous videos and would like to go back and view them, I have linked them below this video for your convenience. Today is part 12, the summary of all of the previous videos, and this, in my opinion, gives a comprehensive view of things that you'll want to consider if you're deciding to purchase seahorses and aren't sure if large seahorses or dwarf seahorses are better for your lifestyle. When it comes to comparing the cost, by the time you consider the purchase of the seahorses themselves, their food, the synthetic salt if you need to prepare your own salt water, and any special equipment, in my opinion, in the long run, the costs are comparable. So I don't see a big difference in that area. Another thing to consider is that large seahorses, just by being bigger, are easier to see and easier to feed, because you can either put live shrimp in their tank with them and they'll eat as they are hungry, or you can feed them frozen shrimps. In general, they're less labor intensive. They need fewer water changes, and that requires less reverse osmosis water, less synthetic salt, and they do live longer, in fact much longer than dwarfs do, anywhere from 5 years and up. But they do tend to be more sensitive to water conditions and may require more time to troubleshoot any complications when you can't figure out why seahorses begin getting sick. Dwarves are perfect for those of you who have small homes and you need to have a very small aquarium. They tend to be very resilient despite water quality not being perfect for them. In fact, it does get tricky to maintain good water quality when you are trying to find the balance of just the right amount of live food to prepare for them and feed them every day so that they'll be able to eagerly eat and sustain themselves without disrupting the required water conditions for them. Even so, the dwarfs do have a large margin of error and seem to survive those imperfect conditions much better than the larger seahorses. As well, dwarves are very prolific and their young are easier to raise. Raising large seahorses is much more challenging. Putting a male and female together is not a guarantee that they will mate, and even though they give birth to hundreds of babies, they are much more difficult to try to raise to adulthood and require very tiny foods that will help them transition until they're ready to experiment with frozen shrimp, for example. Dwarfs, young can be born and left in the same tank as adults if a seahorse keeper wants to do that, and they eat the exact same food as the parents do. Many people have had luck raising dwarf seahorses through several generations. That's really not the case for larger seahorses. Dwarfs can also be stocked more heavily, and it's actually recommended that multiple pairs be kept together. They like to be kept in groups, they tend to be more social, and just plain more active, interacting with each other, swimming around a lot, constantly eating, and for that reason some people may just find them more fun or cute. Also, their size just seems to add to their appeal, even though they are harder to see. So if you're still thinking about purchasing seahorses after learning more about what's required, hopefully my series has given you some things to think about so that you're going to make the right choice for you. I really appreciate you following along with me through this series. I hope you found it useful, and if you did, I'd appreciate if you hit the like button and add a comment. If you're interested in seeing more of my videos, don't forget to subscribe to Cowfish Pro and set notifications to be accepted on your devices. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you being here with me. Take care.